By the reed bridge that arched the flood, their flag the April's breeze unfurled. Here once the embattled farmer stood, and fired the shot that brought the roar. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The world is a big place, and echoes from faraway battlefields fade over time. We've forgotten the lessons of our fathers, abandoned the past, and ceased heeding Patrick Henry's warning to guard with jealous attention the public liberty. By letting down our guard, we've tolerated and thus made inevitable a long train of abuses and usurpations. We now tolerate as the natural order of things unnatural abominations which our founders deemed sufficient cause for war. We tolerate bureaucrats sending hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. We tolerate masked ninjas descending on our homes and businesses with arcane freedom-crushing edicts that all the king's men could not have dreamed up in their wildest fit of vindictive megalomania. We tolerate international alliances and treaties destructive to our sovereignty and security. We tolerate warrantless searches, seizures of our property without due process, spying into our personal affairs and transactions, and interference in the way we raise our children. We tolerate oath-breaking and corruption from our highest public officials. We even tolerate mock trials from punishment for any murders. And that must embolden those who would control us more than anything. And why not? What's to stop these intolerable acts and more? After all, we tolerate gun control, despite the crystalline prescription that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Stroke of the pen, law of the land, kind of cool. Albagala, nay. This is the new philosophy of imperial America. Unconcerned with enumerated powers, unchecked by legislative and judicial co-conspirators, unchallenged by media manipulators, and unaccountable to a detached electorate that for the most part willingly buys into the charade. We tolerate it because by losing our sense of history, we've lost our benchmark to measure how far our rights have been degraded. People literally do not know what they're missing. As we lose our understanding of what came before, so do we lose our ability to navigate the present. By disengaging ourselves from the principles of our Constitution and the reasoning of its framers, we've disaffiliated ourselves from the political process, trusting instead that our representatives will act on our behalf. We've not only given up knowledge of self-rule, but have awakened to find our servants usurping the title of master. An act of the legislature repugnant to the Constitution is void. Marbury versus Madison. We find ourselves timidly defending rather than boldly claiming our unalienable rights, and instead of jealously guarding them, seek to compromise and package our supplication in a way we think enough people will find palatable. So enforcing existing gun laws becomes a mantra promoted by some of our gun rights leaders, and to these I would ask, where in the Constitution such powers are enumerated? In the absence of this delegation, would it not be in the best interest of liberty to instead demand their repeal? Didn't such enforcement precipitate Ruby Ridge and Waco? And if the proposal were more accurately phrased, would they demand enforcing existing citizen disarmament edicts? Or how about existing intolerable acts? Unalienable rights are endowed by our Creator and not subject to majority rule. At some point we must acknowledge that democracy notwithstanding, two cannot lawfully withhold rights from one, nor may their elected representatives. It doesn't matter how many polled think we need gun storage laws or licensing or registration or bans based on appearance, performance, materials, or size. It doesn't matter if the foolish and misled among us quail at the prospect of people going about their business armed and free. At some point we must recognize that quote-unquote good law-abiding citizens do not register nor turn in their firearms when mandated by arrogant mandarins and constitutionally repugnant laws, but instead show allegiance to the supreme law of the land. And the answer to anyone demanding that we do otherwise must always be a resounding and defiant no. At some point we must no longer tolerate intolerable acts, and must come to grips with the deterrent purpose behind an armed citizenry. We must realize that if we break ranks and flee, the darkness will surely come, that the only way to avert the terror it will bring is to confront its agents now with unity and resolve. At some point we must acknowledge that others died for our liberty and ask if we are worthy of their sacrifice, and if not, close the blinds, pray the knock never comes to our door, and live thereafter with that knowledge and that shame. When the victors of our struggle chronicle our time, will they write it in the furtherance of human understanding or of human control? When our heirs examine our stewardship of the legacy bequeathed to them, will they revere us as keepers of the torch of liberty? Or will they damn us as cowards, the architects and enablers of their enslavement? I was not born to be forced. I will breathe after my own fashion. Let us see who is the strongest. Henry David Thoreau. Thank you.